who are here. To speak of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar is not merely to recall the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution of India. That would reduce him to a legal architect alone and misunderstand the scale of his interventions. He, according to me, is the architect of conscience. And you need to understand what that conscience is, what we've been talking the entire morning. Ambedkar understood that the Indian patriarchal social order was not merely a collection of customs, but a rigid architecture of graded inequality, where the elevation of one was predicated on the degradation of another. Thank you very much. Now I feel very tall. He was attempting to breathe life into the collective conscience stifled by centuries of systemic exclusion and oppression. Systemic, keep that in mind, okay? Baba Sahib was not simply drafting clauses, he was conducting a moral audit of a civilization. We Indians pride on our civilization. Not 2,000 years, not 4,000 years, 15,000 years of civilization. And that was the audit that he was conducting. When he began shaping the Constitution, he was not assembling administrative provisions. He was holding a mirror to a society layered with hierarchy. A society normalized to inequality. A society that had learned to spiritualize inequality, exploitation, and oppression. ಇದನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸ್ಪಿರಿಚುವಲೈಸ್, ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಿವಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. He was still asking and still asks this question to all Indians today. Can a nation that normalizes inequality ever truly call itself a democracy? For Ambedkar, democracy was never about elections. It was certainly not just the ritual of voting. It was not the grandeur of the parliament. He warned us that political democracy without social democracy is fragile and a lie too, according to me. He defined democracy as associated living, which means it is a shared moral experience. The democracy beyond the ballot. A society cannot proclaim liberty while practicing humiliation. In the morning, we heard, do not allow anybody to humiliate you or me. It cannot celebrate equality in law while sustaining graded inequality in life. And nowhere is this contradiction more visible than in the lived realities of women in India. Ambedkar did something radical while drafting the Constitution. He placed the dignity of women at the center of the Republic. He declared, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. He did not measure progress by the tall buildings, the flyovers, not even the GDP or all these developmental indexes that we are talking about today. He measured it in the autonomy of the woman in the remotest village, the safety of girls, students, and women walking the streets in our cities, especially our smart cities, in the agency of women to inherit, to divorce, to own property, to decide who this woman wants to marry or not marry, what this woman wants to wear or not wear, and what she wants to eat. We need to understand, because there was this talk that came, when he burned the Manusmriti in 1927, he was not attacking anybody's faith. He was rejecting a codified hierarchy that sanctified women's subordination. That is what he was challenging. When he fought for the Hindu Code Bill, he risked his political career for women's legal sovereignty. You need to understand what all of this means. What is it that he gave up? The principles, there was an MSW student who stood there and asked, what principles should I follow when I go into the community? This is that principle, a principle that is governed by your conscience and mind. He walked away from power rather than compromise on women's dignity. How many leaders today can do that or have done that? Have they resigned their office because of violations that has happened on the citizens of this country? Not even a single one. Baba Saheb envisioned the woman not as a symbol of honor, not as a vessel of community purity, not as the ward of the state. He envisioned her as a sovereign citizen. Our constitution guarantees equality to all. Yet today, 2026, we have gone to the dark side of the moon, and we are still in the dark. A society that practices control, when survivors of violence are questioned about their character, that is not purity, that is not naitikate, that is administrative failure. It is a constitutional betrayal. When family honor buries complaints of sexual harassment, that is not culture. It is constitutional injustice. When safety becomes surveillance, hostile curfews, moral policing, mobility restrictions, girl students must wear only this and boy students must wear only that. That is surveillance. That is not safety. We are disciplining autonomy. This autonomy that is guaranteed to you and me from the Constitution. Ambedkar did not draft a constitution for guarding women. He drafted it to free women and for each of us to respect women's agencies. Let us speak of the silent crisis. What women carry today are what economists call the double burden. Women are professionals, women are also workers, women are laborers. That's what we do in our homes. But it's given a lot of nice, beautiful names. Women who work without minimum wages and the unpaid care work that women do in our house. In the name of sacrifice, in the name of love, in the name of keeping the family together, in the name of telling, this is what honor is all about. But remember, women perform 76% of unpaid work in the house and outside. This unpaid work fuels our economies. If women did not work in the house, that man cannot come out and achieve much. And yet, this woman, your professors, your lecturers, your support staff, your non-teaching staff, all the women work in their homes and work, come here and work. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ, ಸಂಬಳ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. What does women's work do? It subsidizes the state, it sustains the market, and yet remains invisible. To call this a tradition is romanticizing exhaustion. ಎಷ್ಟು ತಾಸು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು? WHO ಒಂದು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Most women work 16 to 18 hours inside the house and outside. ಎಷ್ಟು ತಾಸಿಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಳ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ತಾವು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ. To call this duty is to sanctify inequality, which is a violation of the Constitution. If Dr. Ambedkar was here today, he would call this structural injustice. How can we call ourselves a democracy that promises equality in the courtroom while thriving on inequality in our homes and in our kitchens? Freedom is not just the absence of chains. It is the presence of enabling conditions where women are denied rest, denied wages, safety, and we are denied sovereignty. Ambedkar did not want passive citizens. He wants active constitutional custodians. That is you and me. Hence, we need to reclaim these two identities, that of a voter citizen. Voting is not a ritual every 5 years. It is a mandate for continuous accountability. When we vote, we are not choosing masters. We are appointing temporary administrators of our sovereign rights. And that is what we simply seem to forget every time. The other identity is the paymaster citizen. ನೀವು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಕಂದಾಯ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ನೌಕರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಏನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Every public servant is funded by our labor and our taxes, from the panchayat secretary to the chief secretary, to the police, the prosecution, and every politician that you and I elect. We are not petitioning for justice. We pay for it. When institutions fail to protect women, it is not misfortune, it is a breach of contract. We are not subjects of benevolence. We are shareholders of the republic that you and I have constituted for ourselves. Ambedkar gifted us a powerful idea, constitutional morality. It is the courage to uphold equality even when majority resists it. It is the refusal to surrender to mob brutality. When injustice becomes normalized, constitutional morality becomes our resistance. This is the discipline to defend reason over rage. To question unequal pay is not dissent. It is a democratic defiance. To challenge casteist violence is not rebellion. It is our constitutional duty. Ambedkar understood that oppression is layered. A Dalit woman does not face only patriarchy, misogyny, and sexism. She faces disparities of caste, of gender, of class, of religion, and of late, even the disparity of attire, the clothes that she wears. All of this is intertwined. An Adivasi woman is navigating displacement, carrying historical dispossession. A minority woman confronting mob hostility faces weaponized prejudice. This is what Ambedkar called as graded inequality. True leadership is measured not by progress of the elite, not by that success, but by the freedom of the most marginalized woman. Ambedkar's thunderous call, educate, agitate, organize, was grounded in the belief that a radical mind is an unstoppable force. This call remains the definitive methodology for Ambedkar leadership today. Leadership begins with learning the gaslighting of a patriarchal society. It involves providing women with the tools of literacy, legal agency, rational thinking, and reasoning. When you put women into such positions where rituals and traditions become bigger than the woman, the citizen itself. And I would like you to think of the language that we have. I'll talk about it after some time. So this education also means to understand the world, to know our rights, and certainly to know our constitution beyond the social studies civics books that we have been taught. Agitate is to find our allies and to refuse normalization of injustice. It is the organized, non-violent protest against systems that treat women as secondary citizens. Question systems that diminish dignity. Right to life is a constitutional guarantee. It is not just any life, it is a life with dignity. Leadership is also the ability to turn individual grievances, we heard this in the morning, into collective power. A systemic movement that demands policy changes and institutional accountability. So it is important for us that this fight against injustice is not Dalits fighting everybody else. It is everybody else fighting alongside with Dalits for the constitutional guarantee. It is not Dalits one side and everybody else on one side. It's all of us together, because all of this injustice you and I face in different ways during the day, every day of our life. So today we are at three moral crossroads. If I ask you to choose between autonomy and surveillance, what will you choose? Autonomy. ಆದರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವೇಲೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಗುಲಾಮ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆ್ಯಪ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಡಿಗ್ನಿಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಬ್ಮಿಷನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಚೂಸ್? ಘನತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗುಲಾಮ್ಗಿರಿ ಯಾವುದು ಬೇಕು? ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ನಂಬಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಹೇಳಿ, ಘನತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಡಿಗ್ನಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಕಿವಿ ಬಂದಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕೊಹರ್ಷನ್, ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಡಿಫೆಂಡ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ನನಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು, ಯಾವುದು ನನಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ನನಗೆ ದಾನ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಚೂಸ್, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಚೂಸ್. So it is your right, your duty and mine to defend that choice. The Ambedkarite sovereignty. This revolution doesn't come from above. It comes from below. It belongs to the woman breaking the silence in the boardroom, the student reclaiming the university. When somebody asked in the morning, is reservation okay? I would like you to ask this question to the politicians who have not lived up to the promises that they made when the Constitution came into being. It was them, and it is still them, who are allowing for this systemic exploitation and subjugation. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ತಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ತಂದೆ ಇದೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮಗು ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಯಾರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ? ದಲಿತರು ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಶಾಲೆನ ನೀವು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಶಾಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆವಾಗ ಒಂದೇ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೆಯುವ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಶಾಲೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಶಾಲೆಯಿಂದ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಇರೋ 10ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ SLC ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಓದಿ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಒಂದೇನಾ? ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಹೌದು. SLC ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವು ಯಾವ ಶಾಲೆಯಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರೋ ಆ ಪೇಪರ್ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದೇ ಪೇಪರು. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಓದಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಬರೀತೀನಿ, ತಾವು ಏನು ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ತಮಗೆ ಏನು ಕಲಿಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ, ನೀವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಬರೀತೀರಾ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ರಿಸರ್ವೇಶನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಾವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, ದ ವರ್ಕರ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ವೇಜಸ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಲೇಬರ್ ಕೋಡ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಬದುಕು ಆಗುತ್ತಾ, ಘನತೆದು ಬದುಕು ಆಗುತ್ತಾ, ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಟು ದ ಕಪಲ್ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್. ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಜಾತಿಯವರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜಾತಿ ಜೊತೆ ಲವ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಓಡೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಕ್ ಸಾಕು? ಈ ಊರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರು, ಟ್ರೈನಲ್ಲಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾತು ನೋಡಿ ಓಡೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಈ ಭಾಷೆನ ನಾವು ಕಿತ್ತಾಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಭಾಷೆನ ನಾವು ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ನನ್ನ ಘನತೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಘನತೆಯನ್ನ ನಾನು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಭಾಷೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. The citizen who refuses mob rule, the officer who upholds law without prejudice, to the judge who upholds dignity over dogma. This revolution, ಈ ಅಂಬೇಡ್ಕರೈಟ್ ಸಾವರ್ನಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಇಟ್ ಬಿಲಾಂಗ್ಸ್ ಟು ಎವ್ರಿ ವುಮನ್, ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಬೇರೆ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. Who declares, I am not a symbol, I am not a property, I am not honor, I am sovereign. So this is the republic that we must build. Empowering women is not charity. ಮಹಿಳೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಶಕ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುವ, SHG ಗುಂಪು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುವ, ಪಾಪ. ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಯಾರು ಪಾಪ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಪಾಪ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಪಾಪ ಪಾಪ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅಧಿಕಾರ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ನನ್ನ ಪಾಪ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರ. ನೋ ಪಾಪ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ರೈಟ್. Empowering women is not welfare, it is not corporate social responsibility. It is the unfinished revolution that began in 1948. The republic that Ambedkar imagined is not sustained by rhetoric, it is sustained by active citizenship. Active citizenship andre ಏನು? ತಾವು ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಪ್ರಜೆ, ಆ ಪ್ರಜೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಗುಲಾಮ್ಗಿರಿನ ಒಪ್ಪಬಾರದು, ಒಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ is active citizenship. A republic where every woman is free to walk, free to work, free to love, free to speak and free to dissent, free to decide and free to pray. A republic where institutions protect the autonomy of the woman and not police it. A republic where equality is not post-dated. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಒಂದು ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಈಗ ಬೇಕು. A republic of reason and rationality is this constitutional morality. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ನಾವು ಅನ್ರೀಸನಬಲ್ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಲೈಕ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡುವ. ರೀಸನ್, ಈ ಲೈಕ್ ನ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇಡ್ಬಿಡುವ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಲೈಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಅಂತ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಬೇಕಾ ಬೇಡವಾ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಿನ್ನದು ಮತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನದು ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ. ರ್ಯಾಷನಾಲಿಟಿ, ಅದು ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ರ್ಯಾಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ. ರ್ಯಾಷನಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? ರ್ಯಾಷನಾಲಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿ, ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ವೈಚಾರಿಕತೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ. Baba Sahib Ambedkar did not give us a finished nation, he gave us a compass. A compass na itkondo, where does this compass point all the time? Reason, rationality, dignity. ಈ ಮೂರು ನನ್ನ ತಲೆನಲ್ಲಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಲೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಬರ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. We are not called merely to celebrate him, we are called to practice Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Not simply to quote him, but we have a duty to complete him, because the true tribute to the architect of conscience is not just remembrance, it is to realize the republic called India. He already foresaw it in 1948, where every woman is a master of her destiny, a nurturing, compassionate, indomitable agent, living her life in abundance, shaping the conscience of the nation itself. The Ambedkarite, the revolution and the sovereignty demands that women are not subjects of policy, but we are called to be the architects of conscious destiny of ourselves and of our nation. So, every woman, every man, every student, every trans person is called by Dr. Ambedkar to rise, to occupy, to lead, and to reclaim what is ours. Dhanyavada. Jai Bhim. Jai Karnataka. Jai Bharat.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful words. It's my honor to